Today's lesson, really short, all about the power reducing formulas. So, in calculus, I use these with my BC kids quite often, actually. It's something that when you get to that point, you will need to memorize them, but for now, I will give them to you. I am not going to ask you to use these in the middle of a solving an equation problem, okay? I'll ask you specifically to use the power reducing formulas. But there are times where having a power on a trig function is not helpful. And so getting them down to where they're all sine to the first power or cosine to the first power or whatever it may be, we may need that for our work. So we're going to practice using those. Okay? So here is the sine power reducing formula, and it only works for sine squared. But do notice how we go from angle, whatever this angle is here, what happens here? We double it. Okay? We go from U to double U. Okay? I know, right? It's kind of freaks you out a little bit. All right. What do you notice about the cosine squared one? It's like copy paste, but with a plus sign, right? Okay, so that's kind of nice. Okay, and last but not least, if we take sine squared over cosine squared to give us tangent squared, this is what it would reduce to. Technically, we probably wouldn't need to even write this down, but we'll do it. Okay, so we're going to do one example. In your homework, I'm going to ask you to rewrite an expression in terms of first power cosines. Okay, so that means I don't want any powers on any of the trig functions. So we're going to do this with sine to the fourth x. We're going to do this with sine to the fourth x. Okay, I don't want any powers. Well, we have sine to the fourth x. We don't have a formula for that, but we have a formula for what? Sine squared. Okay, so we can write this as sine squared x times sine squared x. Do you agree? Which means if I don't want any powers on my trig functions, we would have to replace sine squared x with 1 minus cosine of 2x all over 2. Okay, so what are we going to have to do here? We have to multiply, right? Okay, it's not as scary as it looks. What's our denominator? How about 4? Because 2 times 2 is 4, because we are multiplying. Okay, it's Tuesday after a snow day. We're a little bit rusty, it looks like. Okay, now we have our first product is 1. Our outside product is negative cosine of 2x. Our inside product is negative cosine of 2x. And then our last product would be positive cosine times cosine is cosine squared. We keep the angle the same.
We have to do it again.
Okay, so Addison makes a good point. Dang it, we're trying to get rid of the powers. So we're going to have to do this again. Now let's make this, I mean, it doesn't look super pretty right now, right? So let's do this real quick. Let's break it up first. This is 1 divided by 4 minus, what's 2 divided by 4?
1.
Right? Okay. Plus 1/4 cosine squared 2x. But we just mentioned that we can't keep cosine squared, so we're going to have to replace it, right? Okay. What is cosine squared the same as?
1 plus
Okay, so what is our angle going to be here? If we go from u to double u, we're going from 2x to 4x. Okay, from here it's just little itty bitty algebra things. Okay? We have 1/4 minus 1/2 cosine of 2x. Let's talk about what we have here. This would break up to 1/2 plus 1/2 cosine. Do you agree? Like we could break that.
Yep.
We could separate the fraction.
Yeah.
And it's being multiplied by 1/4. So what we have is 1/8 plus 1/8 cosine of 4x. We could break up the fraction inside the parentheses to be 1/2 plus 1/2 cosine. And then we have the 1/4 to come through. One more step. Are you ready? What is 1/4 plus an 8?
3.
Now we have no powers greater than 1 on our cosine.
I like the S sign.
Yeah.
You like?
Why is this any better? This is good.
Okay, so I know that this looks crazy, but if we were to do something that you don't know about called integration, we can't integrate sine to the 4th x.
We can integrate it.
But we can integrate cosine of anything, okay? Or a cosine of an angle like x or 2x or 4x or 6x or whatever. Yes.
How did we break down what cosine squared to 1 plus cosine 4x?
Okay, ask that again. Hold on, guys, hold on. This right here?
Yeah.
To here?
Yeah.
Okay, so cosine squared, that's a formula that we wrote down. Okay, so cosine squared u goes to 1 plus cosine w over 2.
Oh, okay.
So we took our angle and we doubled it when we applied the formula. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, Addie.
So like when we multiplied the two, like in the beginning of the problem, the two numerators, like why would it be like, why would you have cosine squared 2u instead of 4u?
Okay, because the angle stays the same. It's the cosines that we're multiplying together. So the cosine times cosine is the cosine squared, and the angle has to stay consistent.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what's going to happen for the last 20 minutes of class. you are going to either start on your homework or when I pass back your quiz, you're going to get a gold sheet and work on those corrections. Most of you will need a gold sheet. Just being honest. Okay? So let me stop this recording.